Again with the oral history microphone. This is Ray Mofield, and we're visiting in the home of Mrs. Lawrence Solomon of 811 Birch Street in Benton. Ms. Solomon, you were noted historically for being around the Calvert area, weren't you?
Yeah, we lived at Calvert several years.
Now, would you mind telling us if you're old enough to be on this program?
No. I don't believe I'm old.
Well, you have to be 65.
Yeah.
And how
well, I beat that a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I believe you told me you were
The 16th of this month, I'll be 88.
88 years old. Well, that's got a good round ring to it. Double eights. Who were you before you married?
Norman.
Norman. And
Norman.
Your father was... what was your father's name?
Ellie.
And your mother, do you remember her maiden name?
Yeah, she was a filly, named Florence Love's sister.
Yes. And do you happen to remember any of your grandparents?
Yeah, I knew Grandpa and Grandma Norman, a filly, I mean, but I just had a Grandma Norman, I just knew her, because he got, he died several years ago. His daddy was 7 years old, and he'd gone out to feed the horses to get out and start, and some way up in the loft, that hole up there, he fell down and broke his neck.
Oh.
I never did see him.
Terrible tragedy. So you didn't get to know him.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad.
I've seen his picture with beard all over his face.
Yeah, most of the men wore beards back in those early days, judging by the photographs of that period.
My daddy had a blacksmith shop at Palma.
Your father had a blacksmith shop at Palma?
Yeah.
Well, great.
And then him
That's
and
good.
Mr. Morgan Cooper built a grocery store.
Well, I can remember Palma for a good long while, but when I first remember it very well, Irvin Poe ran I guess kind of a little general store and appliance shop and so on. He was a Hot Point dealer, I know.
That's one of them.
And there's one of them right there. Well, that's great. I bought a lot of things from Mr. Poe, and he sponsored a good many of my basketball game broadcasts.
He bought the place down there.
Well, what all do you remember being at Palma over the years? There was this general store you built, or a little grocery, and there was the blacksmith shop.
Yeah, there was another store up.
Was there ever
up there by the Methodist church? Real Curtin.
So you had two stores in Palma.
Yeah, Real Curtin ran that one a while.
And he was later in Benton, I believe. Well, was there ever say a grist mill there, or?
Yeah, he made meal down there at the back of the shop. A big room, the ground meal.
But Palma was never a big city like Calvert.
No, it's just a little place. It's built up some now, but it's not.
There's a gas pumping station with a good many jobs there at that place today.
Yeah.
Of course, they've torn down the school that I remember at Palma.
Yeah.
Did you go to school at Palma?
Yeah, I went to school at Palma.
Oh,
my first teacher was Zora Stone.
Zora Stone.
Smith, they call her now, didn't they?
Yes.
Zora Smith. She, I'm not going to tell her. I don't want to hear that.
I see. Well, we don't want you to tell any stories that you wouldn't care to get out. But anything funny you can tell us. Anything funny you can tell us, we'd like to hear it.
Yeah, I went to school a bit.
Leon Riley told us the other day about buying some beer and his dad catching him with it. And he said, now don't you put that on the air. Well, everybody's had a big laugh about that.
Well, let's see. I don't know. But she was the first teacher. Anyways,
first teacher you had?
That I had at Palma. Now, I went to school 3 days. I wasn't quite 6 years old when I come to Palma. I was raised at Calvert Grove. I went 3 days there. I can remember that pretty good, but do you know Mother's sister living. Well, she's in Texas, not Texas, somewhere. She tried to get me to eat a crabapple, and I wouldn't do it. No,
You knew it as sour, didn't you?
that's
Yeah.
the only thing I can remember. Don't even know who the
Couldn't
teacher
fool
was.
you on that. Were you kin to Joe Birdhauer?
But Miss Zora, they'd killed a hog and they wanted to. Maybe I better not tell that.
Go ahead and tell it. It's not
They
bad.
wanted
is it?
them to deliver backbone and ribs.
Mhm.
Well, I come home and I said, well, I don't know. Of course, I was little then. I was just 6 years old, and I said they lined up around the wall, everybody in school, except the little tiny one.
Uh-huh.
She went over there and she said, you can't come now. She said, Glenn, come on out of here. Said, you've got to deliver this meat.
So they made you be a delivery person.
Not me.
Oh.
But I told him that
Uh-huh.
they were lined up there.
Uh-huh.
But he come home. She
Yeah.
told him. She said when he come out the door, he hollered, "Whoopee!"
He was glad to get out.
Yeah. And though she kept the children in salute that they're scared, it's dark, they had to go through the woods.
Well, back then you started school about 8 in the morning and went till 4 in the afternoon, didn't you?
Yeah. And she kept them till it was dark, and some of them had to go through fields or woods, and they cried,
Mm-hmm.
scared to death. And she said, went up here to see her one day, she said, well, you're not the one. Said, Reba was the oldest, and I said, no, she wasn't either.
All right. Did you ever go to any other one-room school except that one, or did you?
That's the only one.
You finished
well,
that?
I didn't. I just went 3 days on down
Yeah.
at Howard's Grove.
At Howard's Grove. So you went
That's
2
not enough
places.
to count hardly.
No, scarcely enough to count there.
You Dwight Field over there. You boarded their house. Jim Clark. Just a whole bunch of teachers.
When these people were lined up around the wall, was that a spelling bee or something?
Keeping them in for something. I didn't know what it was. She kept them in for something. I never did know what it was.
Yeah. Well, she's giving them a punishment then for doing that.
But it made it bad, though. It was so dark. It was in the winter time, you know.
All right. Now, when you did they ever make you stand in the corner, put your nose in the rain?
No. No, never did.
You were a good girl then. Well, that's fine. I was a mean boy, I guess, because he made me do all kinds of stuff like that. And sometimes they'd whip us. The women teachers I had weren't as bad as the men. They'd whip you with a little paddle in the palm of your hand. But I had some fellows like Hugh Hurt and Otho Winchester. Now, they whipped you with a big paddle and bent you over a desk and
Yeah.
kind of warmed the seat of your pants.
Yeah. Mother went to teacher. She wasn't. Let me see. She didn't know how to. Oh, she said. She done something. She said, "Didn't you know I had eyes in the back of my head?" Mother said she hunted up a word to go up there, and she went up there and put the books back of her head. She said, well, didn't you know that I can't hear? I see you in the back of my head. You said you did. That was a Brian.
Yeah.
Gainey Holland, I mean.
Uh-huh. You took her literally at that point then. You remember any games you played? You have a lot of fun there at recess, did you?
Oh, yeah, we played Ain't They Over and bass and ball. That ball, I can bat a ball.
Yeah. Well, your boys were rather athletic, weren't they?
Yeah. We didn't have anything like that when I went to school. Not in them schools.
Didn't have a big gym to play in or anything like that, of course. Well, you grew up, and was your dad ran a blacksmith shop and a little store.
Yeah, him and Mr. Cooper in the store were together.
So you never did have to sucker tobacco.
Tobacco, I did too.
You did.
I always stayed way behind though and knocked them off with a stick.
The worm, you didn't like those big worms,
I
did you?
couldn't take them. I mean, some of them were as big as you.
Well,
I knock them off with a stick,
you're kind of like my wife,
mash them with
Jane.
my feet.
She'd knock them off with a stick and then
I just couldn't touch them things.
kill them.
Uncle Cal, the curtain dog, he's a great big fella, and he just spit all over him in his eyes and in the mouth and everywhere.
Well, you, when did you move to Calvert? Do you remember that, or was it before you married?
No, it was after we married. It's in '58 we come back. Let's see, we come back. I think we moved to Calvert in '58.
Now, you did get married.
No,
now, who did you marry?
Lawrence Solomon.
Lawrence Solomon. Was he a native of this county?
Yeah, Leander Solomon, and his mother was a Faust.
Well, she might have been kin to Dr. Faust. There was a
Well,
dentist here.
Sandy Faust, his daughter. I don't know if you know. That whole bunch of them boys, and 2 or 3 girls. And their mother was a Pew sister.
Did you have any children?
I got 2 boys.
2 boys, all right,
Yeah,
and
like
they're
Jimmy and Ray.
Jimmy and Ray, all right.
James Edwin and Ray Myers.
We want to get that. Now you tell us where James is.
He's in Henderson, but he's working in Evansville.
Oh, see, that's just across the river in there. So
About 6 or 8 miles, I think.
now, what does Ray do?
He's working. Who was it used to be?
He's in the school system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's next to, I don't know what you call it, superintendent.
He's working in the Superintendent Reed Conder's
and
office.
who had that before? His,
Oh, I don't know that I remember who it was, but that's all
he
right.
took his place, he quit, I forgot. But he took that place. It's next to that assistant, I reckon you'd call it, I don't know.
Do either of those boys have any children?
Yeah, Jimmy had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, and Ray has 2, a boy and a girl.
So you have grandchildren?
And 2 great-grandchildren.
2 great-grandchildren. Well, and they're near enough that you get to see them occasionally.
Yeah. I've been up there several times.
Well, very good. How did you meet your husband? Would you tell us about that? Did you?
Well, they lived down between going towards Calvert City, and they just, I don't know, meet out at places, I reckon.
You didn't do like the girls in Spain, walk along and drop your handkerchief right in front of him so he could pick it up? Didn't lay any plans like that? Did you ever hear of setting your cap for somebody?
No, I don't think so.
Never heard that. Well, okay, we'll we'll go on to something else. Now, your husband was quite noted in the county. Didn't he run a flour mill at one time?
Yeah, Daddy quit. He quit the flour mill. He was just getting too old, and so he took it over. It burned the '37 flood.
Now they made seemed like did they make
Flour and meal and bran.
And
good flour.
you remember the name? Was it Marshall County Flour? Was that the name of it? Or?
Namco.
Namco.
I had to think.
Yeah.
That was good. Real good flour.
Okay.
It was all good, and the meal was good. Daddy made good meal there at the blacksmith shop back in the back part. Good big room. No, it burnt. The boys, James R. Cope's brother and Lawrence were up trying to keep the water was flooded, you know.
In '37.
And they was trying to couldn't keep tarpaulins over the stock's food for people, you know, to feed their stock with. And it blew up from the back end. So nobody never did know. And the wind was just terrible. They never will know.
Now, most of the county didn't have electricity. In fact, they didn't have in Calvert, did they? Didn't you and your husband start a light plant there?
Yeah, a little bit there, you know, just for the, around the town there.
Uh-huh. Do you remember when that was?
Not too long after we'd been there. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Just don't remember.
But that made Calvert City one of the first places with electricity, I guess.
I guess so. Now, yeah. Of course, it didn't spread out too far then. But then they got to buy.
Well, they had a little light plant at Hardin, but of course it didn't go anywhere but just right there in the immediate part of town. And I suppose that is true of Benton.
So they finally got it stretched out where you could go way out.
Well, when the REA came along, and so now you sold the plant, and they took over, and so on.
So they never did go back in there if it burned. It just, I don't know.
Well, what was Calvert City like when you first moved there? Were there?
Well, it wasn't.
Did they have a bank back then?
Yeah, Bank of Calvert Bank.
Calvert Bank. And they had, I guess, the big Draffin Brothers store was there.
That was there, and then there was another big one there that I didn't work anything over his name.
I remember going to school with William Roy Draffin.
You did?
At Murray State.
He's aged a lot.
Well, we've all aged a little bit
but
since.
Seemed like he changed. I hadn't seen him. I wouldn't have known him hardly.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy. I don't know.
You know, a lot of people say that they went to church back then and the preachers preached 2 hours. Is that true? Did the sermons longer then than they are now?
I don't remember.
They were about as short as they are today.
They might sometime over a protracted meeting or something. They might go over a little bit, but they don't. But otherwise, they didn't.
I see.
That I know of.
Now, Calvert City was on the Illinois Central Railroad. Did you take any train trips?
Yeah, we went to Paducah on it once in a while, and then my cousin, I wrote her to come home with her. She got in ear trouble, and she come home on the train. And I went back on the train to Detroit. Oh,
you went all the way to Detroit. Did you ever go up there and work in the automobile plants?
I didn't, but Lawrence did. That's where we kind of got started. And while we were up there, Lawrence, Dr. Coleman had died, and Miss Coleman wanted to move. She wanted to come to Benton. And she had it up for sale. So she asked, Lawrence's daddy asked her what she wanted for the place. She was going to sell it. She told him. Then he wrote us a letter to see if we wanted it. Said he thought it would be a good buy. So we did, and we bought it then. I didn't live there long, but Lawrence wanted to go. He didn't want a farm. He wanted to get in that flour mill business. Light plant.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I suppose that was a good choice. I imagine he made a little better living there than he would have farming.
Yeah.
Farmers have always had a...
There was 7 acres and that, and that wouldn't have made a very big farm, would it?
No, not a very big one, unless it had been a tobacco patch. It had been a big tobacco patch. Did you like living in Detroit?
Well, long as I had a cousin and then some friends was there, that I was all right as long as they was there. I think if they hadn't been there, that I might not have liked it. We, Guy Blakton and us, after Helen came home, we shared an apartment. And Guy said one day, he said, we never have had no crosswords for did we? I said, no.
Easy to get along.
We got along good. We never did, neither one of us ever did have a crossword. Anybody. They sure, I miss them.
Yes.
They're both poorly now. I'd give anything to see them.
Where do they live?
Down, I call it on the Bridgetown Road way down in there. Not too far from the Sharp.
Yeah.
I think they're both in bad health. I don't know.
Could you tell us something about how your parents may have treated you for sicknesses in the early days? I've heard that people had to wear Azafita bags around their necks.
That's one thing. I've never been sick much.
Well, you've been very fortunate then.
I couldn't get it.
And you look about 60 right now.
Well, I don't know why. I don't.
But now you were working awfully hard yesterday. What are you doing out? You mean tell me you still mow your yard?
Well, it goes all the way back down. Got a little garden out in the middle.
And you're making a garden, and you're virtually 88 years old.
I can 11 quarts and a pint of beans yesterday morning, and after dinner, then along about 3 o'clock, I went from front end to back over the yard, and I started last night.
You're not running a boarding house, are you? You don't.
No, I'm not. I've never been sick much. I had the measles.
You like to work, don't you?
Yeah, I guess I got that after my mother and daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy was little, but boy, he was stout.
Yeah.
And it was peaceable at home. Everybody got along fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes it nice when everyone's agreeable.
My mother was awful jolly.
What were some of the things you enjoyed when you got your first radio? Do you remember when you got your first radio?
First radio? Just, I don't know, just listening to things. We
Listening.
didn't have one for a long time, though.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe to get the time or see the news early in the morning or something.
I was reading a note today in the paper about the oldest radio program left in America is the Grand Ole Opry. It's been on since 1925. So.
That's going to do something else here. What is it? Here I read here a while back.
Oh, they've built a steamboat down there, and they've got a hotel and an Opryland amusement
I
park.
knew there's something they said. I didn't catch on what it was. I've got as black as tar out in that sun.
You don't go to these tanning parlors, do you, where you lie down under a big lamp and get artificial tan? You don't need that.
I don't need it. I'm kind of dark complected anyway.
And you get plenty of tan from hoeing the garden,
Yeah.
mowing the yard.
I don't really remember having a spring like we've got. It
It-
just rained one day and maybe the sun come out and rain.
It has been unusually wet.
Mm-hmm. But I'm dark complected anyway, but my arms and face and neck.
Do you have we're going to have to sign off here in a minute. Do you have any funny story you could tell us? Something that your most embarrassing moment or?
No, I don't think I can remember anything. I can't remember anything.
Well, we certainly thank you, Miss Solomon, for letting us come and talk with you.
Is everybody hearing that?
Well, they surely are. We've been visiting with Mrs. Lawrence Solomon at 811 Birch Street here in Benton. She, as she told us, went to school in the neighborhood of Palma. Now, what was the name of that school?
Just Palma School.
Palma School. All right. It didn't have a name like Stall or something.
Well,
And she went to Howard's Grove 3 days, and otherwise that was her education there. And then, of course, she married Lawrence Solomon. They ran a mill, had the electric plant in Calvert City, and did a lot of fine things for the progress of that area. I suppose you never really thought about Calvert getting as big as it is today, did you?
No, I never thought I'd ever live in Calvert.
All right. Well, thanks again, and this is Ray Mofield returning you to our studio.